What's up, hybrids? Welcome back to another episode of the Fandom Hybrid Podcast. This is Hanako, and I am here with Anthony, Michelle, and Lori. And we are discussing episode 2 of House of the Dragon. And Lori is back, and she's got on her screen. I don't think you guys can see it. It says the GOAT is back.
That's right.
Let me tell you, y'all, I was not prepared for the theme song to be the theme song. When it started playing, I was like, wait. I had to pause it and I had to collect myself because I wasn't ready. I wasn't prepared. And then I was like, wait, they gave us the classic music, but they gave us a new intro. I was like, hold up, I have to catch myself. I'm getting a little emotional. I was like, like we talked about this last week, how we feel like it was at the beginning. The themes music just set it off. It set it off. I was just like, I was sitting in my seat like, okay, I'm hyped now. I'm real hyped. Like over a song, y'all. But that song is so iconic. It's so iconic.
I know. I was walking around the house, humming it everywhere I went.
No, and no. Let's tell the truth. Someone skip right to the beginning of the episode.
Oh, come on.
Okay. So we were watching it, and then afterwards, you made a comment on Facebook, the opening credit. I said, wait a second. It was missed. Had to go back because someone had skipped over it.
It wasn't even that important.
Yes, it was.
It wasn't even like the original one where they showed you where they were going to be.
It doesn't matter.
I don't care.
It was like the beginning.
It was so, like I said, I was on my treadmill this morning. I was minding my business. It was 4:30 in the morning, and all of a sudden I hear the theme, I see the logo, and I was like, we're back. I started dancing, actually.
I'm sure you were probably on that treadmill like, okay, yeah. I'm telling y'all, I saw the music, and then, one of the things about Game of Thrones that was always kind of iconic to me were the opening credits. The kind of animation that they use, and to see it in this, but in such a different way. I haven't had a chance to, I know you've been laughing at me, Anthony. I haven't had a chance to freeze frame it yet to look at
oh my God,
where everything is. I do know that those are like the houses, and they're all running over with blood. Like blood is just running through the whole montage.
Yes. Mm-hmm. They spent some good money on that.
They really did.
They did.
But I was like...
Was it like the teaser trailer where they actually did the practical effects for it? Where they actually made a big model?
I think so.
It looked like they did, but then the blood didn't really look digital. So I don't know.
I don't know. I liked it. Whatever it was. I know I've seen some remarks today. People are like confusing and whatever. Y'all know they're talking about the Dance of Dragons. They're talking about one of the bloodiest wars in Westeros history. Yes, there's going to be blood. There's going to be a lot of blood. So
yes,
it fits. I mean, at least, we don't know a lot of the story, at least if you haven't read Fire and Blood. There are certain things that we do know, and somebody pointed it out after the last episode. There's a meme of something that someone says in the main show when they talk about the outcome of the Dance of Dragons. And I completely forgot about it until I saw the meme. And I was like, oh, that's what okay.
But you can't really rely on that because the names are always used over and over again.
Yeah, but no, it's specifically...
Are you talking about the Joffrey thing?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we're not sure.
Yes, we are.
No, we're
if
not.
You've read Fire and Blood,
No. I'm saying for us, if you haven't read Fire and Blood, it's easy to say, well, you can't really say if he's being acted.
Oh no! If you watch the previews for the next episode, it's very obvious because there are some names that they drop that are very obviously like if you put 2 and 2 together, you will get 4. Oh yeah, there are some.
I'm just trying to give them the benefit of the doubt.
Hmm.
Nothing. I'm just trying to give him benefit of the doubt.
Nah, I think they paid attention to this one. You know, I think the writers and the showrunners for this show, I'm gonna guess that they were very careful with what they were putting out because there's already backlash from the last couple of seasons of Game of Thrones.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
they're already coming into this with people already on the fence because a lot of people were like, I don't know if I want to get back into that world. They messed me up so bad the last time. So you're already coming in kind of like, all right, we finna see how y'all finna mess this up. So they don't have the opportunity to mess it up because D&D already did that. They messed it up for any Game of Thrones, whatever that ever comes out ever again for the rest of our lives.
Mm-hmm.
So
Like being in a bad relationship, and now you're trying to get back with the person. He's like, I'm not too sure. Can I do this?
Right.
But these last 2 episodes showed us, okay, maybe we can get back together.
I loved it. I loved it. Okay, let's start. This doggone what is the dude's name? The crab
Crabfeeder.
The Crabfeeder.
Crabfeeder.
That's some horrible graphics to start an episode out on. Oh my god, I was like, when that first image of the hands came up with the crabs on the hands, I looked at it, I was like, I thought I was watching House of the Dragon, not Walking Dead, because that's what it looked like. It looked like the walker's hands. And then, of course, you start seeing all the bodies with all the crabs, and you see the one with the foot where the crabs were eating at the foot, and you could see the tendons, exposed tendons moving. I was like, oh, did y'all really have to give us that? But, it illustrates how ruthless this new person is. I mean, he literally conquered some of Lord Corlys' ships and fed the sailors to crabs. And I don't know where you get that many crabs from. I felt like, seeing all the crabs all over the people and just kind of imagining when you see that they're on an island and you see the destruction, all the bodies around everywhere. I was looking like, you remember in Pirates of the Caribbean when was it Tia Dama that had all of the crabs that was kind of following her around? Yeah, that's kind of what I was expecting here. I was like, okay, this person has all of these crabs. They're eating all of these people. This is very disgusting. And then they did that cut shot. And you're back in the throne room in the Red Keep. I was like, wait, that's jarring. You go from crabs eating people to wine being poured, and they're talking about trivial court things. I was like, that's weird, the way that they just kind of cut into there. But I guess kind of at the end of the episode, I think it makes a little more sense because it's kind of like one of those things where I feel like, last week when we saw the tournament taking place and the birth and subsequent death of Queen Emma, you're going back and forth between these two types of scenes. They're like roughly similar, but different in a different way because you're talking about death and destruction on both fronts. It was just, different means. This one, I felt like it was the opposite. Like we're introduced to like this whole stage of death. And then you cut to people just living like regular lives, don't have a care in the world, just like Lord Corlys says when he comes in.
I think it was supposed to show what Lord Corlys was talking about.
Right. He was like, hold up, we just lost 4 more ships and y'all sitting here talking about trivial shit. Yeah. What's going on? Let's fight. Lord Corlys came in ready to throw down.
They were talking about a new
member of the King's Guard.
A new member of the King's Guard.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they're talking about. And he's like, why are we talking about this? But we said this last episode that he's the one ringing the alarm bells about the stuff, and he should be the one they're listening to, and they're
still not listening.
But I realize now, I know I'm skipping ahead, but watching the episode, you realize why he's having an issue because it's affecting his pocketbook.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This can bankrupt him.
Yeah, I mean, he's the wealthiest man in Westeros right now.
I mean, not only is it a threat to the kingdom, is also a threat to my wallet. Like, come on now, guys.
The one that I created off my own back. You know, he was like, yo, none of this was handed to me. I earned every bit of this. So yeah, I'd be pissed off too. Somebody sitting out there knocking out my ships and killing my people, and the king just sitting here doing what? I mean, I understand the king is grieving because this episode is a short time jump. We're about 6 months after the death of Queen Emma. So I can understand the king might still be in mourning, but you know, as one thing is completely pointed out time and time again in this episode, you are the king. You are not afforded the luxuries of regular men to take a step back, mourn, not be able to marry, be able to just kind of back off from life while you deal with your grief. You don't have that luxury.
Now, on the king's side, though, just defending him for a second, he does say that, you know, we have sent some envoys to figure out how to work this out, because otherwise it's going to start a war, because the Crabfeeder is being backed by the Free Cities.
Mm-hmm.
So it ain't like he's not doing anything. It's just that they haven't come up with a solution. And he's trying to diplomatic things right now, because of course he doesn't want to go into a war.
Yeah, and I understand that, but like Lord Corlys says, even when, you know, they're telling him all this, he was like, but what reason do they have to fear us? They're not scared of us.
Well,
and enter Rhaenyra, who has a great idea.
She had a great idea, but see, I'm going to back it up just a second. Corlys came in, you know, like I expected him to, like, you know, get a rubber band, you know, and tie up his dreads, and he's like, okay, I'm ready to go. I mean, he came in hot, but when he says at least the princess has an idea, as soon as he said that, everyone's face was like, oh, but she's a girl, but they didn't say it, but it was on their face. And he is the only one that I'm seeing so far that has even a modicum of respect for the fact that she should have a voice, and that maybe because she was named heir, they might want to at least listen to her.
That's my whole thing with the whole episode. Like, you named her your heir. Do you not think she needs to be watching you and learning the politics of running a kingdom, so that if something happens, I mean, especially last episode, we see the king got some open sore on his back that won't heal. This episode, he got a damn finger that looked like it's about to fall off. Dude, I'm gonna need you to take care of your business and make sure that your child knows what she needs to do in order to run this country. And that includes being involved in the big discussions. That confused me so much in this episode. Like, dude, I mean, and I understand part of it is probably Lord Otto in the king's ear, because of course he has other plans. But
big plans. Big plans.
He has very big plans.
However, she still shouldn't be serving tea. You're gonna go from being the queen after serving tea. However, let's get to her idea. I want to say it. Bitches, we got dragons.
Right. Just send us. Makes sense. Makes sense. But the way that when she said it, and the way everybody turned to look at her like, why are you talking? I was like, I really want her to do something to shut them up. Now, she did it later on in the episode in such a badass way. Like, yes, I see where Daenerys gets her nerve from. But when I tell you, you know, we say this in teasing a lot of times, this white male patriarchy. Because I mean, because even if you think about it, the way that the dynamic is with the small council, okay, yes, there's been much blathering about the fact that Lord Corlys was cast with a black man or whatever the case may be, and people are pissed off about it. But I'm gonna be honest, the way that they have this character being played right now, or not necessarily being played, but the way the story is going, He is one of the most powerful men in Westeros. He is the wealthiest man in Westeros. They even say this in the episode. I think at some points he's even wealthier than the crown in his story, at least what I read in Fire and Blood. They still treating him like a nigga off the street.
Yes, they did.
Literally. You know? So it's one of those things where it's kind of like, yeah, you're the most powerful man, but nobody's paying attention to what you say. And you know, I know there are a lot of people who can take that one way or the other. I'm not gonna go there, but it's there. If you were really looking at it, as Anthony says, with your militant hat, it's there. Right?
Yeah. I don't know. I agree with you, but I think for story purposes, it might be the fact that A, he came from nothing.
Yep. Yeah, I definitely believe that.
And B, he's married to the queen who wasn't, or whatever the parlance is they use.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, it's the queen that
Otto is already talking to the king, saying, "Oh, he just wants, power. He just wants to be in charge. He just wants to take over the Iron Throne." Blah blah blah. So of course they dismiss him to minimize his authority, to minimize who he is. With marginalizing a certain culture or a person from a certain culture, and that's what he is. Yeah.
Well, in the books, they don't state what race he is. They don't even reference him being from the Summer Isles. But the difference, because I spent most of the day listening to the particular part of the book that deals with this whole House of the Dragon, the biggest problem they have with him and his family is that, yes, they were poor. Yes, he brought them up by their bootstraps, whatever. The problem is that his family and the Targaryens were the two top families from where they came from. But because they're not dragon riders, they look down on them. That is literally the main distinction. So no matter how much money he has, how much flex, how much whatever he has, the fact that they're not natural dragon riders is automatically taking him down a peg. And I think that we're not going to get any of the Summer Island color type of a thing, but we are going to get him being a little bit more aggressive because he's trying to fight for what's his.
Oh, you think?
Yeah. And I think that his wife is a big how can I put it? I think she's a big factor in pushing him because she wants to be on top. I mean, that's her cousin, right? And in any slight twist of the family line, it could have been her family being on top. Instead, she's second. So she's already feeling some type of way. So it's just very fascinating because, like I said, I spent like 6 hours a day listening to this whole thing and how it's going to wind up and all that. And he is going to make some decisions later on. I don't know if they're going to do it in the show. That's really going to affect everybody. And no one's paying attention to that now, which is what they should be doing.
Well, I mean, the fact that they pissed him off enough later on that he stormed out and went to go, "Hey, brother."
Yep.
Okay.
He even left his little thing on the table. He didn't even pick that up. If you ever
he walked out throwing his middle finger like, "Oh, okay, this how y'all gonna do? I got you. We'll talk about that decision later, because
I wonder if there were people on the Great Council who didn't vote for her simply because he was her husband.
No, I think if I remember correctly, I started reading the story in Fire and Blood. I think the main issue was the fact that she was a woman.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all it was. Because if you think about it, just like he said here, his family is probably even older than the Targaryens.
Yeah.
As far as they are one of the oldest houses there, oldest families. And they still treat them like garbage, but that's okay because I have a feeling that's going to come back to bite them in the ass.
Yes.
And, I have to say, so I understand him being mad about the events that transpire later on in the episode. I'm not mad that they happened that way because we'll get to it. That whole thing is disturbing, but I can understand him being like, oh, okay, this is how y'all want to play this. Okay, bet. Let me go talk to your little brother and see what he can do for me. I can see it because again, nobody on the small council, they may respect him a little bit, but not enough to actually listen to what he's saying. Like he's trying to save the kingdom. He's trying to keep the kingdom from losing money. He's trying to keep them from invaders because he keeps telling them, he was like, look, y'all are not doing anything. They're going to end up on our doorstep. And he even says it to the king later on. He was like, when you know a storm is coming, you don't sit there and wait for the storm to come. You go out there and you protect, you do what you need to do to face it head on so that whatever damage is there is not as bad. Nobody's paying attention to this man.
However, his idea later, everyone agreed upon.
That's usually how it is, though.
Except for, of course, Otto.
Otto.
Yeah. Because he has his own plans.
Great value middle finger. And it's so funny because after we recorded last week, Anthony, I looked on 2 other websites where people were also calling him the same thing. Great value middle finger. Yes. Yeah. I was like, okay.
I've also seen middle finger.
Middle finger, yes.
Mm-hmm. I've seen that. Middle finger. Yeah.
Yep. That fits too. That fits too. It's only 2 episodes in. I don't know if I feel like he's quite as cunning as Littlefinger.
Oh no.
I don't think he's quite that cunning yet. So, but he's kind of sort of getting there.
Yeah, but the sad part is he doesn't really have to be with the king. I think the king is very easily persuaded. I'm just being honest.
Well, I mean, he trusts
his brother
Otto.
said it too, but his brother also said it too.
Yeah, but he trusts Otto as well. Which, if you were sitting there looking, it is. Because even at the end, when all of this stuff happens with, him announcing who he's going to take to wife and everything, if you look at the look that Otto gave to Lord Corlys, like, I won this one. How do you not see that? How does anyone not see that?
It's almost like he's Wormtongue from Lord of the Rings. I mean, he is so just insidious. Like, you can't really tell that he's doing it. Like, he goes against things. I don't know if it was this show, but another show. But one of the tactics they used on the king was you automatically go against whatever idea sounds like a bad idea, but that's against your interest. So then when you go along with it, it seems like you were convinced. I think that was the book I read. But it always seems like I guess the difference between him and Littlefinger would be that he's thinking more of putting pieces in place. Littlefinger was about climbing the ladder.
Yeah.
By his own self-interest. Not anyone else's.
He was like, I don't need to have a son to get all this. I'm about to get all this on my own. And if you think about the machinations of Littlefinger, even what we found out towards the end, as far as how literally from the beginning of the story, from the opening scene where we see Jon Arryn being, put into the main hall, he did all of that. I don't know if we'll see another character that clever in this series. Not to that degree. No. Think about it. You sat here and courted 3 women from the same family, 2 sisters and a daughter/niece.
Well, it's like you said, chaos is a ladder. He just threw the whole kingdom into chaos. And he wanted to set him up as a voice of reason. So when the dust settled, he would be the last one standing. Otto, he's just trying to get his family in the right place. He's totally not on the same level as Littlefinger. And I just want to give a shout out to the second sons in the show, because not since Dario have we seen the second son. We have Daemon, Corlys, and Otto. They're just making shit happen.
Right.
Good or bad.
They're like,
So
fuck being firstborn.
done.
Whatever. Yep. But and the other thing too, and we're probably going to be jumping around with Otto, as far as the manipulations that we see with him and his daughter. And we saw this, starting in the last episode, where he's kind of pushing his daughter towards the king. And we see that that's kind of stuck. Now, I can't say that looking at the way they've interacted, I don't think there's a sexual relationship between Alicent and the king at this point. The king is still in mourning. He's still in mourning. He still loves his wife. And, in the 6 months since his wife has passed, they have brought him multiple suggestions, multiple offers of a wife. And he's like, I'm not even entertaining y'all right now. Like, my wife ain't even cold in the grave. And I really feel like, and let me just put this disclaimer out there now. Okay. We're not going to be talking about these relationships with these children and these grown men as if we actually agree with them, but they are a part of the story because of the time frame in which this happens. In the time period that this happens, this was a common thing. Okay. So we are not saying that these relationships should be the relationships. However, these are the ones that we're presented with because of the story that's being told. So we're going to talk about them in that way. I don't want to have to sit here and keep apologizing for,
right,
having to deal with this when this is what the story is, But, I kind of sort of feel like with Alicent and with the king, I feel like there is a little bit of a genuine affection there. I don't know if I think at this point that the king is looking at her as a potential match. I don't think that even crossed his mind until they brought him Lady Rhaena.
I agree.
Because he's thinking, okay, if I have to marry again, one, of course, him being the king, he needs to get a wife that is of childbearing age. They're going to want her young because if she's younger, the mindset is that she'll be better able maybe to produce heirs or to get through childbirth without any issues.
Well, sorry to interrupt. Here's the thing. In the book, just a quick little note, the problem that they had with the king's wife and with all these people having these children is the opposite. In the book, it repeatedly says because they were so young, their bodies weren't able to handle.
Pregnancies. We discussed that. We discussed that last week because
I'm sorry.
Because the queen, when she wed him, was 11. Or she was 11 or 12, and she didn't bed him until she started her menses, which was around 13, 14. So, of course, 13, 14, your body is just now adjusting to you, quote unquote, becoming a woman. The last thing you need to be doing is putting it through the stress of trying to have a child and all this other stuff, which is another reason why I felt like he made the decision that he made in this episode when you're presented with an 11-year-old bride. And she comes to you and says, my mother says that I don't have to lay with you until I'm 14. Did you see the look on his face when he said it? He was like, why the fuck are we even having this conversation?
Yep.
It's like, yes, this is a common thing back in that time. But even he was like, okay, this is a bit much. Now, Alicent,
the whole scene, he was looking like, nah, I'm not quite feeling this.
He was just, he's talking, the way he was talking to her, having the conversation with her, it's almost like he was a father or father figure speaking to a ward or a younger relative. And she was approaching him as a much older person because she had been coached on what to say. That whole scene was disturbing. And I'm so glad that that the way his character is, they can call him weak all they want to, but at least he seems like he had a conscience to be like, I'm not about to sit here and marry this baby. I'm not about to do this. Even though, yes, the potential for it being a great match financially and for the kingdom, yes, that is appealing. But she a baby. She is still a baby. And I'm glad that they wrote it to the point where even he was looking at it, like even the look on his face, he looked disgusted that he was even considering this. You know, but again, this is something that he doesn't get to choose just for himself. Even back then, kings, they don't get to choose for love. They don't get to marry for love.
And I think he chose Alicent because in his mind, that was a safe choice.
It was a safe,
in his mind.
Yeah.
I'm not saying how he was manipulated and all that. We'll take that out of it because he was. But in his mind, I think he's like, this is a safe choice. This is someone I know, someone I have a relationship with, not in that way. And it might piss Lord Corlys off, but at least I've done what I was supposed to do.
Right.
Yeah.
And with her, I don't feel like I'm a father to her. I
Yeah.
do feel like I at some point can have a relationship.
Yeah.
Even though she's like still 15.
Or I think she's probably around. She may be a little bit older than Rhaenyra, but
16.
yeah. But even so, I feel like with her character, even though yes, she was pushed to go in to visit him to comfort him by her father, I feel like there is a genuine affection for him as a person, and not just, oh, this is the person I'm supposed to be manipulating or whatever. And I think she's kind of in a hard place too. You know what I'm saying? Because she knows what's expected from her, you know, by her father.
Her father is
right. Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Expected from her by her father. But you can tell even when she breaches the subject, or when her father breaches the subject with her, she's not comfortable with this. Because he was like, will you go to the king tonight? And she just looks at him, and you can see like almost tears in her eyes and how uncomfortable she is just from the register in her voice. She was like, if you command it, like, I don't want to go to him, but I will if you command it, because she's his daughter. She's supposed to do what he commands. You know, back then your daughters had to be submissive. They had to do what you told them to do. Blah, blah, blah. I told you I'm getting very much and Boleyn father vibes. I can't remember what his first name was, but from the Tudors, it's the same kind of manipulation.
I think Alicent is smart enough to know what her father is doing. Like, she knows. But I mean, what can she do? Nothing. There isn't anything she can do. And at this point, I kind of sort of, I really do feel bad for her, because in having this match made and the king choosing her to be his bride, now she's betrayed her best friend, because she hasn't said anything to Rhaenyra at all about spending time with him, about, you know, even if it was just an innocent thing, which we already know. And that's probably why she didn't say anything, because she knew what her father was doing and she felt bad about it. But again, she wasn't in a position to say anything. Who is she? She's the daughter of the hand.
No, I think she is starting to care about the king, because she did something that she didn't have to do when she replaced his dragon.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I feel like
so she's like, she's having some feelings, but she's not ready to cross the line. I
don't think so. But when it comes to a point where he mentions to her that they're trying to make him choose a wife, I think at that point she's kind of like, okay, I'm gonna have to do this. But I feel like for that to come out of the blue the way that it did, and Rhaenyra she and her father spent this episode kind of rebuilding their relationship very slowly. But it was to a point where I felt like they would have had some common ground to have this discussion, even though, you know, he felt like she wasn't going to be ready to have a stepmother or for him to marry. She knows, you know, she understands This is what's expected of you. You are the king. So the kingdom comes before family. She says this and she knows it. I feel like if he had maybe told her what the options were, okay, so here are the two. I can either go with this way or I can go that way. Once she got over her shock, she probably would have been like, okay, yes, let's go with Alicent because one, she ain't as young as the baby over here. Two, she knows what kind of person Alicent is because I'm sorry, even two episodes in, I still get the vibe that Rhaenyra is in love with Alicent, even though they are best friends. I feel like there's something more, at least on her end, if not on Alicent's end, towards her. But she knows what kind of person this is. She knows that she's a kind, caring person. She knows that, if she had been warned in advance that this was the path her father was going to take, she probably would have told him she would make you a great wife. But now you told her you don't want your choice to cause further estrangement. And then you tell her best friend is going to be your new wife in front of the whole fucking small council. You don't even give her the dignity and the privacy to absorb this information and, before you announce it.
Well,
I was just like,
you should realize that he's a coward. I'm standing by this.
Yeah.
I said this last night to Anthony. He's a coward because one, he couldn't even tell his wife that he made a decision. She's going to die. We're going to make peace with this. And we're going to have this son. Then you're trying to communicate with your daughter, even though you put her down at dinner a little bit when she was trying to express hey, I got some ideas. Let me share them with you. You don't want to hear them. And then when it's time to make a decision, you could have pulled her aside before you walked in there and said, I have made a choice. I don't want to pick the young baby, but your best friend is the only other option I have.
Right.
And I know it's going to be difficult. She really didn't know either. So it's not her fault, but this is where I'm going to head to. You could have gave her that.
Right.
Nope.
Right. And I mean,
I don't want to derail this conversation, but yeah, she knows that's her friend, but does she know that her friend, I don't like using this word, might be unstable? You see what she's doing to her fingernails?
That's anxiety.
I was going to say, I feel like that's more anxiety.
It's anxiety.
I think that's a hint to
that's anxiety.
Be some issues that she ain't really dealing with her own mother's death or in whatever situation she's in.
Think about it. I mean,
you are
but she was doing this before all this was going up. She was already messing with her fingers.
It still could be just anxiety. I mean,
I know it's
you're
anxiety,
a young girl.
That's going to lead to something else.
That might,
the anxiety and the pressure is increased.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to say is, I don't really want to give Otto any points, but I'm gonna have to give him some points for isolating the king, to have him alienated from his family. He's alienated from Lord Corlys. He's alienated now from his daughter, and he's alienated from Daemon. So now all he has, those people that Daemon said are looking at him as he's weak.
Yeah.
And no one's there to protect him now. And we can see where this is not gonna go to a good place for him.
No.
It's not, because there are a lot of decisions that he could have made that would have turned out a lot better for him.
Right.
Than the ones he's making. And that's thanks to Otto.
Yeah.
Otto has twisted him and manipulated him to no ends.
True.
Yeah.
I want to give out a shout out to Alicent's mom dress that was shown throughout these days, because that dress has convinced the king to marry this young lady.
Had nothing to do with her temperament.
Was the dress. Look, this was the dress she had to wear every day, and he enjoyed it. Okay.
Yeah, but so let's talk about Daemon. I don't know what it is about brothers named Daemon.
Oh, no, no, and no. And no, and no, and no.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. First of all, I'm allowed this one time. We have Doctor Who on Game of Thrones. I'm done.
Oh. We got
Um,
a lot. We got a lot of things on Game of Thrones. I mean, Otto Hightower is Luna Lovegood's father from Harry Potter.
Right, and that's true. And then isn't someone from Outlander on there too?
Yes,
Right,
Graham McTavish. He's the
Right.
Head of the King's Guard.
right.
Yeah.
But the fact now my doctors, are Baker, Tennant, and Smith, and my favorite one, of course, is Tennant, but Smith is second, and Baker is third. And the fact that most Doctor Who actors, you see them in other stuff later in life, but they're mainly known for Doctor Who. Unless you're John Barrowman, because he's just fabulous no matter what. But the fact that Matt Smith has managed to carve out a career, because when he was a doctor, and wasn't he like 26, 27, like really young?
who?
Matt Smith.
Was he like 26, 27? He was really, really young.
He was in his late 20s.
They said he was the youngest doctor that they've ever had.
Yeah.
Next to David Tennant. So I'm so used to seeing him being the doctor that when I was watching Terminator and a couple like Crown, I couldn't connect. I couldn't get myself out of him being a doctor. But on this one, it's like I have no problem disassociating him, but it's still cool that we have a doctor in another hit show. So one, he's getting paid what he should be paid, which is a lot of money. And two, we have possibly 3, 4, 5 more years of seeing Matt Smith on our TV. That's the end of my fangirl rant.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Matt Smith in this show is not giving me any doctor vibes whatsoever.
No, not
He
at
is-
None whatsoever.
None. Like, like, unless if I didn't know that that's who he was, I would have absolutely no clue. He's like so different, but he has been in like most of the things that I've seen. His characters are so uniquely different that he's very, very talented, very talented. But okay, let's talk about this.
Yeah, Daemon rolled the dice. He rolled the dice big time. He went for everything on red. And
first of all, King Viserys, I need you to get some more dragon's guards, because like he said, how did someone come in and steal a dragon's egg from under 50 guards? You got 50 people guarding your dragons,
but
and somebody still walked out of there.
What was the response? Well, it was Daemon.
I need you to get some new guards.
The look on his face. Really?
I need you to get some new guards. I need you to get some new guards. But this
Daemon.
is the other time when Rhaenyra opens her mouth in the small council and people are looking at her like, why are you speaking? She was like, she wasn't even paying attention to them. Like, she was so into what she needed to know. She didn't even address the small council. She was like, I'm going to talk to you and Valerian. Which dragon egg did he take? Which one did he take? He was like, yeah, the one that you chose for your brother, because the Targaryens have this tradition. When a new baby is born, they take a dragon's egg and they put it in the cradle. That's what she did for Balin before he died, and so this dragon's egg is back. This is the one that Daemon takes. You could have took any other dragon's egg. Now, I understand you pissed off because you're not the heir anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But your niece didn't do that to you. Before all of this stuff happened, it was very obvious you and your niece had a very cordial, maybe even affectionate relationship. Like, y'all were close. Why are you jabbing her because your brother made a choice?
He wasn't thinking about it. He was trying to make Viserys mad.
And he did.
And he did.
He jumped up. I'm going to Dragonstone. I'm going.
He did.
That's the other reason why Viserys is not. He doesn't make the best decisions.
I wonder if him not really being a dragon rider has kind of influenced how he thinks.
You know what? Probably so.
And because I think Balerion whatever that dragon was, the Black Dread was the only dragon he ever rode. He rode right before he died. He never bonded with the dragon. I don't know if they didn't put the egg in his crib or not, but he was never able to bond with one. So the fact that he never really was a dragon rider, it probably does influence how he operates. So he's not going to automatically, and he looks at the dragons as weapons that they never really should have used anyway. But I wonder if part of that is jealousy, like how he's never really been able to do it. So he doesn't really understand the connection and the power that they have. Because Rhaenyra, she gets it. She gets it.
Let me tell you,
use the dragons.
Right now, when they were talking about going to retrieve this dragon's egg, King Viserys wanted to go, and Otto was like, "No, let me go." So he goes, and of course, Otto.
That's the wrong one to sing. I mean,
that's diplomacy. Diplomacy is not his best. It's not his strongest trait, because even sitting in the small council, you are forever antagonizing Daemon. And then once Daemon is no longer coming to small council, you're antagonizing Lord Corlys. You do not have a diplomatic bone in your body, and you want to go face off against Daemon, who already don't like your ass? Really? And you think taking the Kingsguard with you is gonna help? No. You know what? I'm sorry. Had Rhaenyra not showed up on that dragon,
they'd all be dead.
The king would be looking for another hand. Daemon would be like, "I'm here. I told you."
And there would be a whole bunch of openings in the Kingsguard. Like, he said, "I got 20 of your finest men from your house guard," which, knowing Hightower, they ain't probably worth their crap anyway. Because he only chose people based on their status.
Right. And then also too, when we saw it in the episode, the first time Rhaenyra tried to, voice her opinion, her father sent her off to go help choose the seventh guard for the King's Guard. And she was the only one that was sitting there asking the right questions. And she was like, "So which one of these guards have seen actual battle?" And it was the what's his name, Sir Kristen.
Yeah, Cole Kristen.
Yes, Kristen Cole. I think that was his name. Yes, the one from the last episode, the one who was knocking Daemon on his ass during that.
Let's circle back to that. Let's circle back to that.
We will. But I think they they definitely underestimate her because she's a woman. They also underestimate her because of her age. And I think that's going to be their undoing in the end, because she's a lot smarter than they think she is. And of course, again, white male patriarchy, these are the men, or we're the ones in charge and we're the ones doing this, blah, 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 blah. You don't know anything. You're a child. You're a princess. You're a cupbearer, which, why the fuck is she still a cupbearer? She's the heir to the throne.
And I think she still has lessons she needs to learn, and she will learn it from the queen that wasn't. Because the queen that wasn't gave her some information she needed to know. The same one about being a cupbearer. Seriously.
But I will say this too. Being a cupbearer, I feel like it had maybe her father is keeping her there in that position so that she can hear and learn. Because if you think about it,
I don't think so.
But I mean, think about it, because even in the main show, Arya learned so much just being around, being Tywin Lannister's cupbearer. She was able to pick up information that
he wasn't doing that for her benefit.
We agree, but Dad didn't put her in that position for that.
No.
I'm not saying he put her in that position for that, because she was cupbearer before he made her heir. I'm saying maybe he left her in that position so that she could learn, listen but not speak.
No.
You give him too much credit.
Yeah.
Too much credit. No, he just wants to see her.
She even took her dad's credit away when she was like, "My dad didn't choose me because I was a girl to be queen. He mad at Daemon.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
She's not.
But I mean,
Yeah, there you go, trying to do one of my numbers, trying to give somebody points.
but I'm just saying she's learning more than she would be if she was just sitting in her rooms being
right. But however, she still needs to understand what the queen that wasn't, because I don't get her name right, was telling
Rhaenys.
her. Yeah, Rhaenys. She still needs to understand that these men will do all they can before she actually can become queen. She got to keep that in mind when she does the things she do.
Yep. But I mean, she's proving her mettle because when they go to Dragonstone, basically what happens is when Daemon comes to steal the dragon's egg, he leaves a note saying that he has taken up his rightful place as Prince of Dragonstone. He has taken his whore, or he is going to be taking his whore, Masari, I think that was her name, to wife, and that she is pregnant with his child, and that is why he needed the dragon's egg. So basically, Otto Hightower and everybody else is like, okay, you need to go evict him, because Lord Corlys is like, look, your brother took over the seat of Dragonstone 6 months ago and has been left unchecked. You ain't did shit to him. And this is why he's just sitting there just doing his own thing. Basically what he has done is equivalent to treason. Because you are not the Prince of Dragonstone. Rhaenyra is Princess of Dragonstone because that is what the king.
She can't move in until she's old enough. So he's just kind of holding it down.
Whatever. That is not his place.
He's just holding it down.
No. So anyway, they basically go to Dragonstone to serve eviction notices, and they have this little back and forth. And it's so funny because when Daemon is talking to Otto, one, they're just going at each other. They're just griping at each other. The woman, Massaria, is just looking at him like, what the fuck are you doing? I was so confused by her expression.
Because she was confused.
She was confused.
But no, wait. Before we talk about that, we gotta talk about Sir Crispin. What do you call him? Crispin? Hey, Crispin, is that you?
It's actually Kristen. He was like, "Oh, I didn't." What did he say? "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't remember you." He said, "But I bet you the prince remembers when I knocked him off his horse." I was like,
"Yeah," but then here's Daemon. He was like, "Oh, I like that."
He's like, "Good one,
yeah, I like
one." Okay, so back to the look on. I've heard her called misery, but back to Mazaria's face.
What?
Yeah. On the interwebs, people have been calling her misery.
That's her nickname.
In the
because
book?
in the book she's got misery, but she's also called later on in the series. She's called the White Worm. Remember the chicken red that used to cause all the problems.
Melisandre.
She's a predecessor to Melisandre.
Oh,
okay.
But they haven't said if she's magical. But she is what's the bald-headed dude that was the eunuch that had all the secrets?
Lord Varys.
Oh, Lord Varys.
Yes, she's gonna be like that if they follow the books.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah. So the look on her face, Daemon was like,
she was like, if we supposed to be wed and I'm supposed to be pregnant, I think you kind of need to let me know this. But it's so funny because she doesn't say anything. She's like, okay, I'm gonna let Daemon do his thing. I'm just gonna sit here and look stony faced and whatever. So when they get ready to draw swords at each other, of course, Daemon's dragon, is his dragon? Caraxes is up there like, oh, y'all want to play?
Right.
Y'all want to play? Okay,
y'all do know how this ends, right?
Right. Like we're gonna have barbecue on the beach.
What movie was that in where someone's like, you know how this ends? Oh, it was, never mind. I think it was Star Trek we were watching, and Khan was like, you know how this ends.
Yeah. So, they put the swords up, and then all of a sudden they hear something coming from afar. And of course, there's a lot of, so Dragonstone is a little bit different from the way we saw it in the main show, because it almost appears like it almost looks like it's in the clouds because there's so much thick fog, which made it really beautiful, but it also made it feel like somewhere completely different. But all of a sudden you see like some movement in the clouds, and I was like, what the? And then all of a sudden here comes the dragon, and here comes Rhaenyra. I was like, oh, okay, this is about to get hella interesting. She dismounts off that dragon. Otto tries to tell her to go home. He was like, he was telling his guards, escort the princess back. And she was like, be careful, my dragon. Don't, she's very funny about folks messing with me. Them guards were like, I ain't taking her nowhere. No.
They stepped aside. Okay, let it go.
I knew
Wouldn't
she
you?
was doing because she parked her dragon way away. So they had to watch her walk all the way to them, and they had to wait on her.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you make a fucking entrance.
And she just walked straight through them and walked straight up to her uncle. And she was just like, so you're sitting in my castle right now, and you're not supposed to be here. And he was like, well, I'm just keeping it, like you said, I'm just holding it until you come of age. And she's just like, what are you doing? Why are we doing this? She was like, I understand you're mad. She was like, you want to get through all this? You're mad and everything. She was like, this is the object of your ire right here. You really want to go through all this? She was like, go ahead and kill me and be done with it. And he just looks at her. He turns around and he walks off, and then he turns around and he throws the egg back at her. I was like, yeah, I'm sorry. We already know Targaryens marry within the family. That's going to be a couple right there.
Yeah.
That's going to be a couple because she seems to be the only person that he listens to.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean,
he goes storming back, and he's just mad because she called his bluff. He wasn't gonna do shit.
No, not at all.
But also the mistress, she stormed off by this point because once she really heard the conversation, I think it was the conversation he was having with her in Valyrian, where he was talking about, well, she was like, why did you take the dragon's egg? You specifically took the egg that belonged to my brother. And he was like, I'm just holding on to family tradition. Doesn't my son or doesn't my child deserve an egg too? And that's when she looked at him and she turned around and walked off. I was like, oh, something's not right there.
No.
Something's not right there. And we find out when he goes storming back, she was like, so you told them we were supposed to be married? And you told them that I was pregnant? He said, well, maybe once we get the marriage thing down, that can happen. She was like, I ensured long ago that I would never have children. He was like, well, good, because children are such pesky critters. And she was like, dude, I have lived in fear all of my life. I'm with you because I thought being with you would get rid of my fear. She was like, you can sit here and play little games with your damn brother. I can't. She was like, yeah, he's not gonna do nothing to you. What is he gonna do? You're his brother. And despite everything,
she's like, my head will be on the spike.
My head will be on the spike. She was like, you can play these games. Who do you think they're gonna kill? Not the brother of the king. They're gonna come kill the whore. She was like, I ain't got time for this. This is not what I signed up for. And he's just sitting there looking all defeated, like he's pouting like a child, like, okay, I just got showed up in front of my brother's man by a damn 15-year-old child who shouldn't have even been here in the first place. And now my woman mad at me. I have no leverage now. I have no dragon's egg. My brother didn't come. He didn't take the bait. He's just sitting there looking real defeated, like, damn, I didn't calculate this.
But he still hold the castle down. He's got that job. Yeah. He's got that.
And I don't even think, because I think in a way, I think Rhaenyra understands why he's upset. And I think in a way she can even empathize with him. But when you took that dragon's egg, you made it very personal because you know what that egg like what the cost of that was. You know what the aftermath was. You know how that affected her. You just made it personal. And for what? To try to one up your brother or to try to get him to see you? She was like, yeah, we all see you right now. You look like an idiot. That was basically the gist of her, her conversation. She was like, okay, you know what? If you that pissed off, you really want to be aired that bad, come on, kill me. Okay, go ahead. She didn't, and she said it with no malice. She said it with no attitude. She said it very matter of fact. I am the obstacle between you getting, what you want. So go ahead and eliminate that. What's he gonna do? Like I said, there's an affection there. Regardless of the whole intermarriage, whatever, that is his niece. And we saw that they have a close relationship. It's not like Tyrion and Joffrey. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He actually gives a damn about her and she gives a damn about him, which is why I feel like she went to him, one, because she's like, look, I don't want any bloodshed. We can do this without bloodshed. Just stop playing the games. Stop acting like a petulant child.
And I think also part of it, she played right into his it appealed to how he feels about family. Because we learned in that speech that he gave to Viserys that he is really into the Targaryen blood. Like they are family. He really wouldn't do anything.
Right.
If he wouldn't do anything in his brother, he wouldn't do anything to her. He's just flexing.
Right.
But he really does believe that their blood is thick. I think he just wants to have a conversation with his brother
because they were close.
I think that's really what it is. I think he really just wants to fix it.
And even at the end, when Lord Corlys finally goes to him, he's saying all of these negative things about the king. And Daemon is like, hold up now. He was like, I can say whatever I want about my brother. You will hold your tongue. And then Lord Corlys said that thing. He was talking about how, he brought himself up from his bootstraps and how he made his wealth on his own back and blah, blah, blah. He was like, you and I are very similar. Daemon stopped for a minute. And he was like, I didn't know you had a brother, a king for a brother.
That's why he likes Sir Kristen. He's the comebacks, the snapbacks is great.
Right. But, when Rhaenyra comes back to the castle, apparently her father did not know that she had gone to Dragonstone. And he's upset. Mostly because of the fact that, okay, you left and didn't tell anybody where you were going. You are my only heir. Something could have happened to you and we would have been vulnerable. Not something could have happened to you and I would have lost my child. I would have lost my heir. I was like, oh, these royals and their they get on my nerves with that mess. Like, please treat your children as people. Like, I don't know.
She made a point. I was the only one who could get the job done. Okay.
With no bloodshed. She said, I don't think Otto could have done that. And he couldn't do anything but laugh. Because he knew she was telling the truth. And then he's like, I forgot how much you two were alike. Talking about her mother. And then they finally have a conversation. I think the first conversation about her since she died. And that's why I felt like things were kind of getting to a thaw and they were finally starting to kind of like reconcile in the way that they probably should, as not only father and daughter, but as a king and his heir, to have some kind of understanding. And this is the part where he tells her, he was like, I'm lost without your mother. I could never replace her. Like, she was my everything. That's basically what he was saying. And he was like, but what I have to say. And she was like, yeah, you're the king. You have to marry. You have to protect your line. She was like, I understand that. And that's when he says, I don't want this to cause estrangement between us. But she's like, I understand. Soon as he said that, even though I know the little girl, Lady Lena, was the person who was being proposed, as soon as he said, I don't want this to cause estrangement, I was like, yep, he about to marry the bestie. Because Rhaenyra probably wouldn't have cared in that sense if he had married Lady Lena. Because at that point, Lady Lena is a child. She's not going to be able to replace her mother's affections in his heart anyway. You know what I'm saying? If you're looking at it from that point of view, not even just the fact that she's a child, she's young, she's way too young anyway. He's not going to have the kind of relationship that he had with Queen Emma, because what kind of relationship, what kind of bonding can you have with someone where there's that, I won't even say the age difference, because I know people who have relationships where there's a 20, 25, 30-year age difference. But these people are grown-ups and not 11 and whatever.
If I remember correctly, Robert was like maybe early 20s, and Cersei was maybe 16.
I think so.
17 when she married him. And it's almost like they're trying to not mirror, but kind of make it similar, to where he was going to marry her because he had to, and she would have lived her life trying to live up to this dead woman that was like the ideal thing for him.
Right.
That would have been a bad situation too.
And that still might be the situation, because I mean, Alicent she's a little older, but she also knew Queen Emma.
Yeah. And she will never be able to live up to what Queen Emma was to him.
Nope.
Because how many times we had to hear Robert talk about this woman he never married, and he just barely knew. And
not only that, the woman who didn't even love him.
No.
Not in that sense. You know, so, I'm not saying she didn't love him at one point, but when she saw Rhaegar, it was game over.
It was game over.
Game over. So, I mean,
and didn't I see something between Alicent and Sir Criston? Then like
twice though. Twice.
There was that little flirtation. Yeah.
And then Rhaenyra and Sir Criston.
Yeah, at the tournament too.
That doesn't look like that's gonna be a good situation either.
Well, I mean, Alicent can't have him, and I'm quit. She probably could, but I mean, why? She's about to become the queen. She didn't think about Sir Criston. She didn't think about it.
Well, they ain't never stopped.
What that mean?
They didn't stop Queen Cersei from diddling daddling. So
Cersei was a whole different beast. There's nobody like her.
Cousin.
There is nobody like Cersei.
There's a whole bunch of other people.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I mean, but Cersei was like, the Targaryens do it. Why do y'all frown on it when we do it? I mean, she had a point, but
so I wouldn't put it past Alicent to, dally in that stuff either. So, and Criston, that's Sir Criston's a good looking fella too. So.
Right, because
he's a very nice looking fella.
Yes, he is. And if the king keep getting cut in different places and falling off,
what is he doing? What is he doing that you got a finger so black they got to bring in a whole? First of all, where the fuck do you find a whole bowl of maggots?
That was my first thought. How do you know what they had to do to get all those maggots?
I don't want to know. I don't want to know
where they had to come from. Like, I know the Maesters are into some weird, strange things, but that right there,
and they just put his head in there, and they was just scooping the maggots over, and he just sitting there looking like. I was like, first of all,
like he having the manicure.
Wait, no, they had a big container of maggots to put in a small container of maggots. What the hell?
Let me relax and have my little council meeting about who I'm gonna marry while my hands sit in maggots.
Yeah, no.
Because I didn't know what they were at first, because when I first saw it, I didn't see that they were moving. I'm sitting here thinking they were the little, I can't think of what they're called. You know, when you go to a salad bar and they have the little brown things that look like the little sticks that you put on your salad. That's what those things look like. Then they start moving. I was like, and then you see them unbandage his finger, and his finger black. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Oh no, you know what? He cut his finger on the Iron Throne in the first episode, so it's not healing. So why is he not healing? That's the question. Why is he not healing?
Book. Okay. It's common knowledge that, and this was in the old Game of Thrones too, that the swords are made of the enemies that they conquered. So each sword metaphysically has some sort of supernatural power. So if you sit on the Iron Throne, and if it scratches you, if it cuts you, then that means that metaphysically you have been rejected by the throne, and then you will not be king much longer. You will not reign because you are unfit to sit on the throne.
Okay.
Oh, I went in today. Like I said, 6 hours. I went in.
Okay.
Okay.
And that goes with our story.
Because I mean, it's been 6 months, dude. I'm surprised that finger hasn't fallen off.
That or what's that thing where they have the hemophilia with the blood thing too?
Oh yeah,
they're all interbred.
Yeah, we talked about that last time.
Mm-hmm.
They have some disorder that we are unaware of.
But no, it says repeatedly, because like I said, I've listened to Fire and Blood at least twice all the way through, but I just never really listened to it. It was just like on the background while I was working. But now that we're watching it, I'm really listening to it, like paying attention. And they said that several times. And it's not just his story, because there's like 3 or 4 main stories in the book, the history. And every time the ruler is about to really screw up, he gets scratched by the throne, he gets cut by the throne, he sits down, and the swords are not comfortable to sit on. And the chair does something, and then it sets it up. And then within, I think they say, a year, they're no longer the ruler.
Well, I mean, they must have figured out a way around that, or Robert Baratheon was meant to sit on the throne, because I don't think he had any problems. I don't think any of them had any problems. You don't see, not that I think about it, Robert, Joffrey, and if anybody should have got cut and died from the throne, it should have been Joffrey Baratheon.
Well, if you go back and look, they may have had to file it down because they removed some swords and probably realized this is a health hazard.
OSHA got involved.
So it's not looking the same. So we have to make some changes.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But how awesome.
Aegon was probably like, you see all those pointy things up there? Get rid of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're right.
Because he likes sitting on the throne. Not Aegon, the Mad King. He liked to sit up there, so he probably had it all filed down.
I don't know. I was gonna say maybe those swords cut the Mad King. That was part of why he went mad.
No.
Lead poisoning.
I'm just saying.
The Mad King was mad because of the secret in his dreams.
Well, yeah.
He was just not right in the head. Just saying.
I know, but okay. So let's go ahead and talk. Let's go ahead and get into this uncomfortable territory. So again, we're talking about the king being told that he needs to take a wife, and they have brought him several suitors before. Nobody's caught his fancy. And in the midst of all of this, Alicent Hightower is still coming to him, spending time with him, looking at his massive, I've seen people refer to it as the Lego set of the castle. Like, he has built this
No.
What?
I'm upset about it because I thought this man carved this out in his spare time last week. And to find out, all he did was just draw it on a piece of paper, and the Masons put it together for him. So whatever he was flexing last week when he was carving up something, he wasn't carving up shit.
He probably did some of the small stuff, but that's not his specialty. But yeah, I was
giving him props for that. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. Yeah. And then today he was like, oh, I didn't do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, bastard.
He's like, I just do the research. and giving them the plan.
Michelle, you were really mad about it.
Yeah, see, all he did was draw it on a piece of paper. That's all he did.
Yeah. But
I don't even know if he did that.
He probably didn't do that either.
I don't know. But anyway,
He told a cool story though about
Yeah.
the Black Dread's mate disappeared after he died,
mhm.
and they don't know where she is. I bet you that those eggs that Daenerys had were her eggs.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Probably.
Well, back up. What was that? I'm sorry.
The eggs that Daenerys had
Yeah.
were probably those the eggs that belonged to the mate of the Black Dread. She disappeared after he died.
Nope. Nope. You guys are completely off base.
I'm just saying.
And I'm not talking. I've learned my lesson. All I'm saying,
that's
look,
what he said.
I know, but all I'm saying that when they revealed it in the book, I'm sitting there going, "Wow, that came out of left field." Basically, I'm sitting there and I'm just like I said, I'm stunned because I'm going, if they put this in here and if they do that here, yeah, I'm keeping my mouth shut. But you're off base on that one.
I'm sitting here looking at Allison's dress, or excuse me, her mother's dress.
That
It
same
looks
one for 5 days.
It looks similar to one of the dresses that Daenerys wore. But anyway,
I thought it looked like one of Sansa's dresses, and I'm not going to go back and watch the show again.
No, Sansa didn't have dresses that would have that much cutout. She has a lot of cutout around. It's very.
It was the same
sensual.
the same color.
That blue was similar to what Daenerys wore when she was in Marine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, but
cutouts around the chest, cutouts down the arm.
Yeah, but yeah.
With
So
the
anyway,
choker.
going back to the uncomfortable stuff, so we can get through it. So the king takes a private audience with Lord Corlys and Lady Rhaenys. And, you know, he's basically apologizing to him. And they're kind of apologizing to each other for the way things kind of got out of hand during the small council. You know, Lord Corlys was rightly upset because, like we said, these things that the Crabfeeder is doing affects his ships and affects his money. And we all know we don't like our pockets being messed with. And the king also apologized for, you know, kind of not really listening or whatever. He's like, well, I am doing such and such to kind of, you know, check things out and to make sure that things don't get bad. So he asks Lord Corlys, or rather Lord Corlys asks if he can be frank with him. And this is when he puts the suggestion about, hey, you really kind of sort of need to get married. And hey, I have a solution. Let's join our houses. And I was thinking at first, I was like, okay, they have a son that is kind of young, but not so young in regards to Rhaenyra that I would be opposed to it when you think about Lady Laena and King Viserys. So I'm thinking they're about to propose, okay, let's marry your son, your daughter to my son. That would have been more acceptable. No, they're like, you can marry our daughter. And I was like, maybe they have an older daughter than the one we saw at the tourney.
That's what I thought too.
Because other than that makes no sense. And then they start talking about it, and they're like, they mention her age, and I'm like, okay, we're getting to the creep fest part.
Did they even mention her age, or was the scene just them walking?
I think they mentioned her age.
They mentioned her age later when I thought he was talking to the council. He was like, and she's 11. Or he was talking about the age because they mentioned her, and I thought, oh, maybe they have an older daughter. And then next scene was her and the king walking. This ain't the older daughter.
I was just like, so we had no other alternatives. Like somebody else. So I'm in a Facebook group. It's called Black Folks Watch GOT2. And then I joined this group when Game of Thrones was still on. It's just a whole bunch of Black people giving, Black commentary on Game of Thrones. And so, of course, it started up again with House of the Dragons. And the comments during this episode, one, everybody was bothered by all of this. There were there's been a lot of R. Kelly references to this show that I've seen. But the other thing was, so the only two eligible maidens in all of fucking Westeros are these two little children here. There are no other eligible maidens anywhere in the seven you have 7 kingdoms. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No other eligible maidens. No other eligible maidens except for this 11-year-old that has Targaryen blood.
I would like to think that. I mean, there's other Targaryens too. Like, it's a whole family there. There's 50 other dragon riders, so I'm sure there's 50 other at least Targaryens.
We had a tournament.
I'm assuming that there were some names put forward, because honestly, Hightower never put forward Alicent's name. The king did that on his own. So the only name we actually know about is Lena, but I'm sure other members of a court were trying to get, or other
and they could have shown us a couple of those too, and then that would have taken away from the creepiness factor. No, it wouldn't have taken away, but it would have kind of.
No, it's like ripping the Band-Aid off. This is the point of the story, so we're just going to show you this one because this is the one that gets us where we want to go.
And Otto did put up his daughter's name when he sent her to that room that night. Okay, next.
I mean, you speak the truth, madam. You speak the truth.
So, yeah, I was thinking when they had that conversation about it's been months and they've been talking about it, that they have thrown out like different families.
Yeah, they said it, but it's just
he keeps spitting it off.
And he just keeps.
I know, but y'all could have showed us one of those, even if it was just fleeting. Show us that children aren't the only options that y'all are giving this man. Y'all could have thrown a Dornish chick in there. Y'all could have thrown somebody from someone at least somewhat age appropriate. Y'all could have thrown 1 or 2 of them in there just for us to see that he had those options and he was like, I don't want to get married to anybody.
I wouldn't have been surprised if there wasn't a single woman, girl put forward who was over 16.
I wouldn't either, because they need someone who they feel confident in her bearing children. And back then, after a certain age, you're like, your eggs are too old, and that could be 21.
Yeah. The other thing too is maybe, and maybe I'm just thinking about it.
The older daughter, if that was the older daughter, she's probably been promised to be married to someone else. I mean, he is a king.
I was about to say some regular lord or the king.
But you don't want to mess up alliances.
The king.
Well, they didn't offer her; they offered the little one.
Well, you have to understand that if this is, I'm sorry.
Corlys is not. He didn't get to where he was by being dumb. He's not gonna break a promise he already made.
I know, but still, y'all couldn't come up with something. Y'all couldn't put a if y'all got to go young, y'all couldn't put a 14-year-old, 15-year-old at least show us some. Y'all had to go that young. Like, I'm still playing with baby dolls young.
This is the Middle Ages, and by the time you're 14, you're old. I mean, you have to understand. You've got 2 different things going on in the Middle Ages if we're going to make it like the Middle Ages. One of them is king's rights, which is something that they eventually got rid of. The other thing is that the maidenhead, okay? They want to ensure the 14-year-old may not necessarily be a virgin. The 11-year-old will be, okay? So the fact that they will wait a few years before they can, consummate whatever. But back then, it was very, very, very tricky for a lot of these families to make sure that the goods were, quote unquote, good when they delivered them. So, yeah, it makes perfect sense. Is it disgusting? Yes. Is it horrible? Absolutely. But is this what they did? Yes. This is how
And
they
I mean,
roll.
this goes
And I
all the
say
way.
that the
Yeah,
older daughter may have been promised she might already be married, and she could
Yeah.
be 14.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
get 5, 6, they get betrothed, they have to marry, a certain time, certain age. So yeah, it could be possible that they just
I
didn't
know,
have
Michelle.
any
I
more
feel the
daughters.
same way.
I'm sorry, I'm still making faces. I'm sorry, I mean to.
That's okay. I feel the same way. But the other thing I thought about too, because he has been so adamant about not replacing his wife, maybe he feels like someone older, and this may not be the thing, but I'm just, I have to think outside the box because of this whole concept is very foreign to me. But maybe he's also thinking someone older might be someone that he could connect with, and he doesn't want that. So it's like, okay, yeah, if I marry somebody that I probably will never have an emotional connection for, like it will literally be a marriage just so he can procreate and expand his line, he'll feel safe. Like, oh, I don't have to open myself up emotionally. I just have to do my duty and be done with it. But with somebody older, like Allison, you get somebody spending time with you, you start to let a little feelings get in there, and then you might be like, oh, I mean, I don't know, because I haven't gotten that far in the book. I don't know what kind of relationship he and Allison will have once they're married. It could turn out they're like Robert and Cersei, or it could turn out they're like Ned and Catelyn. We just don't know. But maybe that's another thing. He was like, okay, if I really have to be married, let me be married to somebody I'm not going to ever be emotionally attached to.
No, I think he picked her because he does have a connection with her.
No,
And
I'm
he
talking
cares
about
with
as
her.
far as him not choosing like Lady Lena or anybody else. Like that would be the reason why he's like, okay, you know what? If I
Okay.
had to choose someone like that, it'll be because I don't have an emotional attachment. I'm just gonna do my duty, my royal duty, and be done with it.
Mhm.
Okay. Let me see if I get this straight. So obviously, there's nobody around that you can marry except for your daughter's best friend. So you're gonna marry your daughter's best friend, and she is now your stepmother, and she's gonna have babies, and those are gonna be your little brothers and sisters, and she's also queen. And if your dad dies, she becomes the regent queen, and later dowager queen, and you're still the princess. And if she has a boy, you get bumped down to not being the heir. Oh yeah, I don't see any problems with this happening at all between the two of them or the three of them. I foretell that old girl is going to be hating on her former best friend mother, stepmother, because there's no way that the king is thinking about that aspect of it, because he's just thinking, okay, let me get this over with. She's right age, right lineage, daughter of the hand. He's not thinking about the fact that the only person that his daughter has to confide in, that is friends with, because it does look like they have a whole lot of friends running around that castle, is this chick. I mean,
no, I disagree with that. I think he's very much aware of that, and that's the reason why before he made the announcement, he looked at Rhaenyra for so long, and then he looked at Allison and looked again at Rhaenyra, and that was when Rhaenyra looked at him, because at first she was encouraging him because she's thinking he's going to pick Lady Lena. So he looks at her and she's nodding, and she has this like really tiny smile, like, yes, Dad, it's okay, go ahead. And he just keeps looking at her, almost looking at her like, this is the last time I'm going to see my child. So he knew in that moment the magnitude of the decision he was about to make. And then when she looks over at Allison looks at her and she immediately puts her eyes down. How you don't read those signals? He knew what he was doing, and he knew what kind of consequence that was going to have. Because again, you haven't been honest with your daughter about any of this, and her best friend has not been honest with her about this. And again, I keep saying it, they keep showing us these little glimpses of Rhaenyra and Alicent's friendship that allude to more than friendship. So not only is it just that, oh, my best friend is about to marry my father, her potential love interest as well, because again, I see that connection between them. So you're getting the betrayal on two different fronts. He knew the magnitude of what he was doing, even if he doesn't know that Rhaenyra may feel that way towards Alicent. You knew that that was her confidant. You knew that that was the person she was the closest to in the world, next to her mother. And you, in the span of 6 months, have now taken both of those people away from her. He knew what he was doing.
Well,
and what's going to happen when she starts having kids and the son comes out and she's no longer the heir? And what's interesting, what I thought was kind of funny, was when her and Rhaenyra were talking, you know, the queen who never was. She had I've never heard princess used as like a derogatory term, but every time she called her princess, every time Rhaenyra called Rhaenyra princess, I just felt
Rhaenys?
like it's Rhaenyra.
Rhaenyra is the princess. Rhaenys is Corlys's wife.
Yeah, so every time she called her, the queen who never was, princess, it was like an insult. And that's what's going to happen to her. That's going to be funny.
I don't know, but you know, she held that conversation very she held herself in that conversation very well, because when Rhaenys said she said something about, yeah, the lords had their chance to place a queen on the throne and they refused to do so. And she looked at her, she said, they refused you.
They rejected you.
They rejected you. They came and bowed the knee to me and called me the heir.
However, you still pouring their wine.
Again, like I said,
came back.
However,
you still pouring wine, boo. Next day.
But you know what? Again, I feel like that's probably the place for her to be, because she's hearing all of the inner machinations of what's going on with the small council.
But she was also trying to tell her, your shit didn't change just because they bound the knee. It hadn't changed. To be honest, it hadn't changed. And again, we're going to say this again. We do not agree. However, the king made the wrong choice. If you are a king and that is your job, and you've been talking about this damn job, you're supposed to do right by your kingdom. You should have married the young lady. I can't say child, but young lady. Because ultimately, everyone told you that is the right thing to do. And that actually was the right thing to do. That's the right path to go for
the story we are telling. Yeah, for the story we are telling.
For the story we are telling and for their lineages, they need to do that. But you chose not for the kingdom. You chose personally.
Yeah.
And you're not supposed to do that.
But you know what I got to say? I understand that that was the choice he should have made. But given what I'm not mad.
No, I'm not mad at it either. But even just let's get down to the business at hand. That is actually what he should have done.
Yeah.
Yes, it would have taken 3 or 4 years before they actually could do something and have kids. However, that is actually the right move for the things that's coming in their kingdom.
But here's the other thing too.
Or pick someone else.
Or maybe he made the right decision by choosing Alicent, because just like you said with Lady Laena, it would have been maybe 3-4 years before she would have even been able to consummate the marriage. This man is falling apart. He might not be around in 3 or 4 years.
So let's do a tournament of brides and go get you some more Targaryens.
The Bachelorette. A medieval Bachelorette.
The Bachelorette of Westeros.
Don't choose just the person standing right next to you. Alicent is wonderful, whatever, but she doesn't have what he needs. So we should have been like, you know what? I can't marry this 11-year-old, but let's go look for some other brides that's in the bloodline.
He can be like, I'm ready now. I wasn't ready up until now.
Yeah, let's bring some of them back and see what.
Yeah, let's bring them back around. Let me give them a second look.
Right.
No, that's
bring them back. What you got? What you got, Sir Strong? What y'all got over there? Harrenhal.
What they got over there at the Starks? What they got all over there?
Yeah, where are the Starks anyway?
Well, we saw Rick. We saw Rickon Stark in the first episode.
They are chilling in the north, staying out of grown folks' business.
That is true.
Well, that's true.
That's the people in the north have made a career out of staying out of
This
other
is true.
folks' business.
Mhm.
I think my favorite thing from the book, it's only 2 or 3 lines, and it says I won't say what part of the story, but at one point in time, they need money from the bank, across the seas, and they have the treasury, and a certain family from Casterly Rock took 3/4 of the money for safekeeping and put it in their castle. Last thing's Lannister. All of a sudden, they're the richest family they stole the money twice. I was just cracking up.
Yeah, that sounds like a Lannister-y thing to do.
I just thought that was funny.
And then we come to Corlys and Daemon, the second sons, at the end.
And Corlys, that was very disrespectful. Again, I understand he's the king, but he should have also talked to him too and said that, I am going to turn down your proposal. However, I'm still going to help in the situation of the Crabfeeder.
I don't even.
However, he broke that news to all of them at the same time, and they both stormed out of the room.
Again, King Viserys needs to learn a lesson in tact and communication and dignity. Because you didn't afford your wife any of those. And now you're not affording your daughter any of those either. You just basically, for all of your talk of her being your child and how much you love her and how much you adore her, you just basically did the equivalent of slapping her face in front of the entire kingdom. And she's supposed to be okay with that? You were shocked that she walked out the room? Dude, we haven't said this phrase in a while, but I'm about to say it now. I need you to read the fucking room. Because he obviously is not. And maybe that's part of the thing that makes him not a great king either. But I mean, he's been on that throne for 10 years. So something he is doing is right. Or maybe it was the fact that he had the queen by his side and she was the one that was steering him in the right direction. I wouldn't put that past her either. But now he doesn't have her and he's making all these dumbass decisions.
No, I think he's made it where he doesn't, because Jaehaerys, he ruled for what 40 years or so?
I think maybe more than, no, yeah. I think about 40, close to 50 years, because I think Jaehaerys was like maybe 66 when he died.
Yeah. So you're competing against that. So you come in and it's peaceful and you just want to maintain the peace. But, like they say, the seeds of war are often sown in times of peace. And so you're sitting there and all he's doing is avoiding all these conflicts for 10 years. Avoiding these conflicts is creating an environment, a situation, an atmosphere where everything is on the precipice of falling apart.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like. You can only do that for so long. Because I'm pretty sure Jaehaerys had his dragons flying around, making sure everybody knew who was in charge. So y'all keep y'all little petty squabbles to yourselves. Don't bring that crap to the small council because I'm not dealing with it. Lord Corlys, you got your ships, cool, you straight, everybody's straight. He dies, this weak motherfucker come in, everybody sees an opportunity. And that's what Daemon was saying. You are perceived as weak.
Mm-hmm.
You're not Jaehaerys. You know? You're not riding around your dragon scaring motherfuckers. That's what Daemon wants to do. That's how Daemon would rule. What are you gonna? That sounds a lot like what's her face? Daenerys. It's like, yeah, we're gonna be peaceful and everyone's gonna be happy because I'm gonna make them be happy because I have a dragon. You know, they're gonna like it. They're gonna enjoy it. What about people who don't go along with what you want? I have a dragon. Let's ring the bell. We surrender. We surrender. I have a dragon. I don't have to listen to anybody. That is pretty much a Targaryen way. Viserys doesn't think like that.
Yeah. But I mean, I will say this too. I can't really say that I feel like Daemon thinks like that either, because Daemon probably could have gone and raised the city. He could have attacked at any point. But
what did he have as backup when they came for him?
His dragon.
His dragon.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he does think like that.
No, but what I'm saying is he could have, like, the moment Otto and all of them stepped on Dragonstone, if he really wanted violence, he could have chose violence. He could have burnt them to a crisp and sent a survivor back to the king to say, okay, here you go. But I really don't think he wants to go that route. Yeah. Because again, it's obvious he loves his brother. Even now.
Okay. Well, that's something separate. I'm not talking about him treasonous act and trying to usurp the throne. I'm just saying, if he was the king, how he would rule would be like the Targaryens. I have a dragon. How did he run the gold cloaks? In one night.
Yeah.
They clean the city.
They clean the streets.
Yeah.
2 carts of body parts. What do you think What do you think he's gonna do if he was king and he has 50 dragon riders? There's gonna be peace in the kingdom. I guarantee you. The Crabfeeder, the free cities wouldn't even be a threat. Like, the free cities wouldn't even try to, invade Westeros or start setting up colonies. No, I'm gonna burn that shit to the ground. Move on. Viserys doesn't think like that. The same. Going back to him not being a dragon rider.
Yeah. Makes sense.
And I think that's why Daemon scares them more than anything. You're not going to be able to push him around.
Yeah. And I don't know. I at this point, I'm kind of torn, because I understand what King Viserys is trying to do. He doesn't want war. Nobody wants war. I understand that. But I feel like he's not ruling with a firm enough hand.
No.
And there's going to be issues in Westeros if he continues on that path. Meanwhile, I feel like even with that attitude of I have a dragon, I have a feeling that Daemon, like you said, he's all about family. But I also feel like as a ruler, he's going to want to clean things up. He's going to want things to run smoothly. And if someone like, say, the Crabfeeder decides that they want to come up on the shores, he's going to show them what's what and be like, oh, okay, you want to come and invade my city? Yeah, let me show you what I got. Not just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. How about that? I just feel like he would, I don't want to say necessarily make a better ruler, but I think he would probably be a stronger ruler. Yeah.
And I think Rhaenyra will be a stronger ruler as well, because I think she thinks like that too.
Yes. Like she has the intelligence to see the bigger picture, but I feel like she also has the compassion needed to rule. That compassion is probably what Daemon is missing. But Yeah,
They'd make
she
a
would be a
perfect
great
pair.
ruler.
They'd make a perfect pair, wouldn't they?
I mean, we are talking about Game of Thrones. We are talking about Westeros. Sure, they would make a perfect pair. They would make a better pair than Viserys and Lady Rhaena. I'll say that. Because
Better pair than Jon and Daenerys, because that was a. I'm only saying that because we just watched that episode where she was losing it, and she's like, "Oh, you told Sansa. Sansa told Tyrion, and Tyrion told Varys. So Jon betrayed me." She was like, "Okay, well, you put it like that. I specifically told him not to tell." Yeah. Anyway,
but
specific, yeah.
you specifically told the rightful heir not to tell his business. Yeah.
So
That's a whole other. No,
we're not even gonna get into that.
So when you look at the previews for next week or just the overall season, I definitely can't wait for when they fast forward, because you see there's a lot of conflict with people.
Yeah, we do get some babies.
We get the babies, and then some conflict between friends.
Yeah.
Might get a knife pulled out on them. I'm just saying.
The other thing about that, though, is
I can't wait for that part.
I can't, but at the same time, I can, because at that point, we're going to be dealing with older versions of these two characters, and these two actresses who are playing Alicent and Rhaenyra will be gone. And that will bum me so much, because I love their portrayals of these characters. Like I said, you can really see that these characters care about each other. And then now we're going to have to imagine them being so completely torn apart. I'm excited to see how that story develops. But yeah, something tells me, I mean, again, we got the bloody intro. Something tells me that this is not all about to be sunshine and butterflies. We're about to have some real strife. We're about to have some real, probably some knockdown, drag out fights. And it's about to get very ugly in a very quick way. Maybe not too quick, because, oh yes, they got renewed for a second season. So the show will be coming back. So I don't know exactly how they're going to be telling this story. Like, again, I haven't finished reading the story, so I don't know how long it is or how far into the future it goes. I don't know if this is going to be a multiple season story. Like, are they going to go beyond 2 seasons, or is this going to be limited? We don't know yet. We also know that they have other spinoffs coming. We don't know how that's going to tie into these, but yeah, it's
there's enough story in just this group of people that they could literally do 5 seasons, because they are barely into it. Okay, because you forget, we're seeing her as teenagers. We're going to see them as adults. We're going to see them as grandmothers. Okay. This guy doesn't die anytime soon. Okay. Daemon doesn't die anytime soon. And the what goes back and forth, you are literally going to get 5 seasons, if not 6. Easy.
Okay. But I mean, even if, like, as long as they tell the story right, as long as they don't pull a season 8, they don't have to do 5 or 6 seasons. Like, they don't have to drag it out. Because even though we're only 2 episodes in, we've already got 1 6-month time jump. And it didn't mess with me as much as I thought a time jump would. Now, granted, they may do another time jump, because, as Michelle said in the previews for the next episode, we do see that the king and Alicent, they have married. There is a child. It is a male.
Aegon.
Named Aegon. So, I mean, however they're going to tell this story in however many seasons, I just don't want it to lose what we're getting now. You know what? Don't make the story stale. Don't make the story drag on for the sake of milking it for what it can be. You know what I'm saying? So
how many episodes is it going to be?
10.
Okay. I would rather have 10 really good episodes than like 2 seasons of junk.
Yeah.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I mean, they're starting out strong. So have no reason not to believe that they won't continue this way. This is the first season and not 7 or 8. So we'll see.
Mm.
The other thing I think we need to touch on before we close this out, I cannot remember his name, but the guy that the king went to talk to, and he was like, I just want your unadulterated opinion.
That was strong.
Strong, yes. Okay. That dude gave everything. He was like, okay, so this is what you need to do, and this is what you need to do, and this will be a strong match, and this. I mean, he told him everything point blank.
Mm-hmm.
And the king still didn't heed his advice.
Right.
He didn't.
And you know, the funny thing is, I watched a couple of clips from Game of Thrones last night on YouTube. You know, I talked about this before. Sometimes I'll just get something in my head and I have to go do a YouTube dive. I was watching the scene where Tywin, Tommen, and Cersei were standing in the Sept of Baelor over Joffrey's body. And Tywin was telling Tommen, okay, you're going to be king now. What kind of king will you be? What makes a good king? And he's basically schooling him, and Tommen is giving this answer. And he says a good king keeps wise counsel. Even, you know, and he was like, you know, you surround yourself with wise people, and even after you're king, you keep listening to those wise people because they will help you make good decisions. I was like, you need to be propelled into the future, or Tywin needs to be propelled into the past to teach you that little lesson, because I have a feeling the fact that he doesn't follow that lesson, that is going to bite him in the ass. I mean, maybe not. I mean, Lori just said, you know, these people, they live for quite a long time, so maybe it doesn't. But yeah, I mean, if you've done what you've done and estranged yourself from your daughter, yeah, something tells me you're not going to have the happy life, even though you have your son, you have a new wife, whatever the case may be. He's not going to be happy, especially, you know, you sitting here falling apart. You're just going to be miserable. I don't know. He could have handled things better with his daughter, just like he could have handled things better with his wife.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of delicacy can go a long way.
And also handle things better as the king. I mean, but just like Daemon said, what did he say at the end? He's not a good king, or he don't know how to be a king, or what did he say at the end?
Oh,
his strongest personality trait is not being king, or something like that.
Yeah, when he was talking to Lord Corlys, he said he's not very good at it. And Lord Corlys said, at what? Being king. I was just like, tell us how you really feel, Daemon.
But that's his brother.
However, he's the only one who can say that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
If someone else say something about that.
I mean, we're all like that with our siblings. Like, yeah, right. I can talk about them, but you can't say shit.
Yeah. But that also tells you the love they have, because one, the king hasn't even talked about Daemon. He let him at Dragonstone. He's not even concerned.
Mm-hmm.
And then Daemon's over here like, you're not going to talk bad about my brother. Now,
Right.
shit, I may have some issues with him right now, but that's me and him, no one else. So.
I'm sitting here looking at it in the background. When he made that announcement of who he was marrying, the way that Corlys got up, he was like, this is an absurdity. My family is Valyrian. Like, oh, please don't get your head chopped off in the middle of the small council. for going
But
against
he's telling the truth, though. I mean, he's
Yes.
honestly telling the truth. Who is Hightower? It's almost like being Daemon's whore. It's like it is not what they need. I mean, dude, if you're gonna, reject my offer, find someone else of quality.
Mhm.
I'm just saying.
Make it make sense.
Right. And it ain't making fucking
It's not
sense.
making sense.
None at all.
So it was a personal decision. Allison
Right.
gives him comfort. He feels like he can, actually have a relationship with her. However, you lost your daughter.
You lost your brother.
You
and
lost respect.
You lost the Targaryens.
I
You
mean,
lost the
damn, you lost a
Valerians.
lot.
Valerians.
Shit.
You're done.
So,
All right. So, to the end, because we got to go back to this crab feeder.
ooh.
Again, where the hell he found all these damn crabs? There's crabs all over my screen right now.
Well, my thing is, I'm like, even when you start seeing them, like, are we in a different show? Like, how did he get his mask? What the hell is going on?
I think he just knows where, because you never come across the TikTok videos of the crabs being born and all of them coming out of the sand at the same time. I think he just knows where they are. He finds those spots. He's like, okay, this is going to be a good spot in about, I don't know, a week or so. So he comes back in the week and he's got a bunch of people to throw down to the crabs that come out of the ground.
And I do know, I think someone said that was in the books that they also are going to slowly drown from the tides coming up too. So you got the crabs eating you during the day and drowning at night.
Some hungry babies looking for food.
I mean,
and then you're drowning. So
that's the worst way to go.
And all you gotta do is
I mean, that dude had his foot cut open and the crab's just sitting there, just eating. And you see him move his foot, and that's how we realize the dude is alive. And you see the tendons moving. I was just like, we didn't really need to see that. But I'm also looking at this dude. I don't know if I feel like this is a mask because the way it's okay, yeah, the top part of it is a mask.
The top part is a mask.
But the bottom part of it looks like his skin might have been, I don't know, singed off or cut or burned or I don't know. He
looks scary.
I don't know. I don't know if I want to mess with him. Lord Corlys, I need you to keep your beautiful black self over in the Red Keep and just leave that man alone. Leave him alone.
He can't. He messed with his wallet. He can't.
Yeah, this is going to bankrupt him. So he has to do something. He has to.
And his family didn't get where they are by, what did he say? When the storm is coming, you either go through it or around it. You don't sit there and wait for it.
That's true.
So he lives by those words.
Okay.
I just don't feel like his time is, I don't think he's long for this world. Because he threw in his lot with Daemon. And like Viserys said, the king is not going to kill you. So the king is not going to kill his cousin, but he might kill Lord Corlys.
Yeah.
And if that don't happen, Kragus might kill Lord Corlys. We don't know how this is going to shake out.
I hope not.
But Daemon is going to I feel like Daemon is about to put him in a bad situation. So.
And here's the other thing too, like even from the first episode, Lord Corlys has always had Daemon's back. I don't feel like that's gonna be reciprocated.
It's not reciprocated. No.
I don't get that this is a two-way partnership here. This is a you scratch my back and I scratch my back. Right. And I might give you a little tickle, but that's gonna be it.
Yeah. He's gonna help him out, but it's gonna cost Corlys. And it might cost him his life.
This is this is not Daemon's brother. This is not his niece. So everyone else,
they're expendable.
Yeah.
Valerian or not.
Yep, you are very, very right.
And back to them not being high status dragon riders like the Targaryens. Who knows what Daemon thinks of Lord Corlys? Anyway,
Right.
How he was sitting there listening to him, not very much. We don't think very much of him.
so
Right. I like how you said, I didn't know you had a brother as a king. Like, you're not like me. I don't understand.
Matt
Right.
Smith is awesome. Matt Smith is killing it. He is straight killing it.
Very much so.
As Daemon, he is killing it.
Yep. Oh, okay. I think we've covered everything. I think we've covered everything. So let's see. DragonCon is this weekend. So let's see. We probably won't get to record about episode 3 until sometime next week. But if you happen to be at DragonCon this weekend, I will be on a House of the Dragon panel on, let me see, this is Sunday at 5:30 p.m. And we will have details on our website and on our social media, so you can check that out. But for now, that is it for our show. You can find us online at www.fandomhybrid.com. We are on social media on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Fandom Hybrid. You can watch our videos on our YouTube channel and listen to us on all major podcast streaming platforms. Thanks for listening. We hope you join the conversation next time.